Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Box to Box on AFTV. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Please check out all the other content and please like the video and let us know what you think of the episode in the comments. Today, we have got a very special guest. We have got Baz from Toffee TV. How are you, mate?
I'm good, very good, thanks, mate. It's a while since I've been on Arsenal Fan TV, but good to be back, good to have a chat.
Definitely. So, Everton Football Club, the Toffees, the Hill Dickinson Stadium, 52,769 capacity. You were formed in 1878, one of the oldest Football League teams, I believe. And also another football team that I believe has never been relegated from the top flight along with Arsenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, certainly in the Premier League era, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get into it. How are you guys doing at the moment?
Yeah, we're doing okay. Well, we're doing better than we have been in recent years, that's for sure. Have been playing better football this year, which you'd expect with some better players. And got ourselves into a decent position, but injuries and suspensions and AFCON is starting to, well, it's just about to start to pinch, and that, I imagine, will change that, or could change the landscape over the next few weeks or so.
Yeah, definitely. So last 5 games, you beat Manchester United 1-0. You got beaten by Newcastle 4-1. You beat Bournemouth 1-0. And you beat Forest 3-0, and then you lost to Chelsea 2-0. So some very indifferent results there. Interesting run of form. I believe you sit 9th in the table at the moment. Yeah. And you are on 24 points. So quite a sort of a bit of an up and down season. Some good results, some bad results. I have watched a few of your games this year, and at times you really impressed me, to be honest.
Yeah, there's been since David Moyes come back in January, there's been a big upturn in Everton's form. Obviously, I remember going to the Emirates a year ago, and we were in a run that saw us not score out of 9 out of 11 games. But we got a point at the Emirates that day. We drew 0-0, and Sean Dyche had to go. It was time for him to move on, and David Moyes come on. And since Moyes come in, I think there's only Arsenal who've taken more points away from home than Everton in this year. Everton have won the most, I think, 8 away games, but Arsenal overall have took the most points, and there's been a huge upturn. And obviously moving stadiums in the summer was a big thing, and it was, how was it going to go? So, we've had 8 home games, we've won 4, drew 2, lost 2. And we've done okay, we've been doing all right, but Everton have got a big issue scoring goals, and that's been the main problem, I think, this season.
We'll come back to that in a minute, because the new stadium is something obviously I want to really, really talk about. Really interesting. I love stadiums and, all of that goes with it, and the David Moyes situation. But what I really want to get into is your new signings. Obviously, you got Jack Grealish in the summer, loan deal from City, fantastic player. Looked like he's really starting to find his feet with Everton, and really pleased for him to get that move there. Can we just talk about your new signings in the summer, how they've settled in and how you see them?
Yeah, so the summer we brought in Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall from Chelsea. Yep. He's been outstanding. Yep. He's not going to be available Saturday, sadly for us, but he's been outstanding for us so far this season. Jack Grealish came in on loan, as you've talked about. I'll go back to him in a minute. We also brought in Tieno Barry from Villarreal, striker, but he struggled for goals. So far, he's only got the 1, albeit a couple of weeks ago, he's only got the 1. We brought in a couple of goalies, don't need to speak about them. A young left-back, and we haven't seen much of him. And a German midfield player called Merlin Roll, and Tyler Dibbling. So I think it's been a little bit of a mixed bag. I can understand the signings and what the club are trying to do, but I think a lot of fans felt there's still a couple short of players who are going to play week in, week out. Dibbling's not managed 90 minutes, as in overall. He's not played up to 90 minutes yet in the Premier League. I think he's on 82 minutes so far this season. And there's things like that where I think the fans thought we'd see more of him. But the big pluses, the two big pluses have been Dewsbury Hall, who's been absolutely brilliant for us, and Jack Grealish, who's been tremendous. He's come in and lifted the place, and he's got 4 goals, 2 assists, classy footballer. And when you've had talent cut for a few years because of the financial position, when you get it back, it's incredible to see players who can actually control a ball and go past players and create things. We were starved of it over the last few years.
Looks like Jack Grealish has kind of been given a new lease of life under Everton. Obviously, at City, he was starved of playing time. And obviously, there's a phenomenal football player in there, like you said, that can control the ball, the game, a real dynamic player, a generational talent in many ways. And obviously sort of lost his way, I think, after maybe winning the treble at City. It was kind of like, what do I do next? And a fresh new challenge. And it seems that he's found that at Everton.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, he's been waxing lyrical about David Moyes, who I think what David Moyes has done is basically just took him and said, go and enjoy your football. We all know what Pep can be, and I know you have a little bit of it with Mikel there, but you know what Pep's like. He's still coaching when the game's finished, walking on and grabbing even opposition players and all that. And I imagine that can get a little bit tiresome after a bit. If you're a free spirit, shall we say, like Jack Grealish, you want to just get on the pitch and have a game of footy. And Pep is so focused on the team play, the team plan and everything else. So I think what's happened is he's had that for 4 years at City or 3 years at City, and he's come to Everton, and the manager's gone, just go and play, go and remember what you played like at Villa, where it was a bit freer for you. And obviously the Evertonians, like I said before, we've been starved over the last 2 or 3 years. We've had any quality we had cut away. So to get someone like him, the fans have took him straight to the heart, and he's been excellent for us.
So let's talk about your manager, David Moyes, because obviously David Moyes was at Everton for many years, and then he came back, the resurrection. And for me, he was always a fantastic, very well organised manager at Everton. And obviously he was there for a long period of time, and then obviously his time had come. Since he's come back to the club, obviously he was at West Ham, and he, Manchester United. He's come back to Everton, and how's his tenure been so far back in charge of Everton?
Yeah, it's been very good, to be fair. I mean, when you look at, he came in January, and Everton were at 17 points. And, they lost the opening game that he had, but he'd only had the team for a day. Yep. And then we lost at home to Villa. And then from them, we went on a brilliant run, beat Spurs, which I know your boys will have liked, your fans will have liked that one. Beat Tottenham, and then went on an excellent run. And about 6 weeks later, he had Everton. Everton was safe, basically. He got that many points. And out of the 19 games he had last season, we only lost 4, which was incredible, given what he took over. And then obviously, they had to turn the squad around in the summer. There was a lot of players going out the door and things like that. And this season, Everton, I think Everton are on more points than they have been for about 5 years at this, 4 years at least at this stage. I think there's only one in the last 9 years, I think I'm right in saying, that Everton have had 24 points after 15, 16 games. So he's got us off to a decent start. I know we're 9th, but we're sort of 3 points off 5th or something like that. Yeah. Things like that. So we are in touching distance. And considering, one of Liverpool's subs, whether it's Wirtz or Isaac at the moment, they cost more than our summer spend, just one of them on their own. So, from the money that he's sort of put down this summer, he's got the team at least on the front foot a little bit more. It's a work in progress. It's not the level of Arsenal and teams like that, of course it isn't, but it's definitely, compared to the last few years, a big step in the right direction. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but I bet you there's a lot of West Ham fans now thinking, what were we moaning for? What were we moaning for when you look at what they're putting up in now? So he's been, obviously, he did a great job at Everton the first time, and he's doing a very good job this time.
Great to hear. So, listen, we're talking about teams. Baz, run through your entire team, your formation, how you expect Everton to set out against the Arsenal on Saturday night, 8 o'clock. under the lights?
I think, well, it'll be more who's available, to be honest with you, mate, at this moment. But I think it's going to be Jordan Pickford in goal, Jake O'Brien at right back. It'll be James Tarkowski, Michael Keane, and then Michalenko. That'll be the back five. And then in midfield, if Grealish is available, he'll be off the left-hand side. And then we'll have Timmy Abunim, James Garner, Charlie Alcaraz in the middle. And then I imagine it'll be Dwight McNeil off the right. If Grealish isn't available, McNeil will be on the left and Dibbling will be on the right. And then up front will be Tierno, Barry. That's how I sort of expect Everton to line up on Saturday night. And we've been playing a bit more of a it's a 4-2-3-1. But I imagine on Saturday night, given the opposition and the strength of it, it'll probably be more like a 4-5-1. I'm trying to just make sure we've got enough bodies behind the ball to try to disrupt what Arsenal want to do.
Okay, so speaking of what Arsenal want to do, what do you think of Arsenal?
I think Arsenal have been, this year, have not been as fluid football-wise, but have been, look more on it to me, look more serious, as in, can get those results. You know, I've watched, they were, for a couple of seasons, they were fantastic and just fell short. And then last season, I don't think any Evertonian has forgiven you for last season, I'll be honest, for just choosing that year to switch off and allowing the other shower to win it. Because if Arsenal would have been remotely similar to what they were the 2 seasons before, they'd have walked it.
Listen, we don't need to go into that, mate.
No, but they'd have walked it. You can see it's December and I still haven't forgiven you. But I think what I've seen of Arsenal so far this season is a lot of games getting the job done, even when they haven't been. Some, don't get me wrong, some games they've looked tremendous, but other games it's almost. I watched the Fulham game a few weeks ago, and it was a bit nip and tuck. Gyökeres missed a couple of good chances, but it took a set piece to win it, but they got it won. You know, Wolves last week, everyone was, all thinking 4-5, 6-0.
I know.
But you get it done. Doesn't matter. It still says 3 points to Arsenal, doesn't it? So I've been impressed with the ability to get over the line. They're going to need to, because City look like they're coming back, a bit strong.
I know.
But, Arsenal are in great form, aren't they? And they were unlucky to lose a Villa, I thought, last week. Trying to win it, they ended up losing it. Whereas if they'd have sat in maybe in stoppage time a little bit, they probably would have seen that draw and moved on. But they were trying to win the game, and I understand why. Ended up just being caught out.
A little bit calamitous at the end, but we'll forget about that one.
Trying to win it, mate. That's it's risk and reward, isn't it? You're going to try and win that game. Another big 3 points there would have been huge. So I understood why they tried to do it, but sometimes it backfires. But you win more often than not when you're doing that way.
So what do you think of the job that Mikel Arteta's done at Arsenal?
I think he's done a good job. I also think I think he needs to win something this season. I think he's been incredibly backed by the board. He really has. We had a spell of Arsenal fans being really frustrated with Arsene Wenger coming towards the end, not spending money. The Emery thing didn't really work as it should have done. And maybe if Emery had gone there sort of a few years later, it would have worked. And Arteta went in, and I think what he did, what I've been impressed with, is he seemed to drag everyone back together. Arsenal always felt like there was a little bit of a divide, just a little bit of one of like not always being on the same page. Doesn't feel like that, and hasn't felt like that for a few seasons. From the outside, observing it, I think he's done a brilliant job. But he does have to win something, because I think there's probably only so many times you can be close to winning. When you're getting backed heavily, you've got to get yourself over the line sometimes. And this probably needs to be the season that he does that, whichever that is, Champions League or the league.
Probably potentially the toughest season that he could be having pressure-wise. Speaking of toughest, what's the toughest game you've had this season?
The toughest? You know what? It's been weird this season, right? Because we've lost 6 games.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been a game where I've come away from and thought, they were just too good for us. It just holds your hand up. You know, Chelsea last week, Everton had so many opportunities. They were better. The quality obviously turned it, but do you know one of them games where you just have to go, we had nowhere near it? Newcastle maybe was probably the toughest. Spurs, it was all Everton, they broke, scored. It was all Everton, they broke. It was like a weird sort of game, you know? But I think the Newcastle one's probably the toughest, where we've sort of gone, yeah, you know, we weren't at it, and they were good that day, and they took the chances, and you can't really have that many complaints from that.
Yeah. So who's your top goal scorer?
Illiman and Jai and Dewsbury Hall both got 4 each.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is when you look at us. Defensively, we're not too bad, really, the numbers. But offensively, we struggle for goals. And this is a problem that we've had all season, and we'll continue to have unless they can somehow address it in January. You know, our both strikers have got 1 each in the Premier League, and that's it. So that tells you sort of where the big issue is for Everton.
So how long have you been an Evertonian, and what is your first memory of supporting Everton?
Do I want to admit on here how long I've been an Evertonian?
Yes.
I'll be kind to myself and say, you know, more than 45 years. Earliest memory. It's weird because I can remember bits and pieces of games as a kid, but there's a game that really, if you want me to go sort of verbatim, and I can remember every single thing about it. I remember us beating Birmingham City on day one of the 1981 season, and we won 3-1. And Alan Bailey, who looked like Rod Stewart, scored Everton's third goal with a beautiful chip. So that is clear as if it happened yesterday in my mind as a kid, of going and the sights and the smells. And I have been before, but that one, I can recall it, virtually everything about it. So that sticks in my mind. I also remember great games against Arsenal over the years. I remember beating Arsenal 6-1 when we were league champions all those years ago, 1986. But I won't go on too much about that because I've seen Arsenal wallop us on many occasions, including a 6-1 at Goodison on day one.
86 is when I sort of started supporting Arsenal. So we'll think about that. We'll put that in the archives. But I'll just say I don't remember that one.
No, don't remember them.
Yeah, I don't remember that one. And speaking of history, obviously Goodison Park was an absolutely iconic old school football stadium. 4 separate stands and, great atmosphere. It was your home for many, many years. And this summer you moved into a revolutionary new concourse stadium in the Hill Dickinson Stadium. As we said, a large stadium, over 50,000 seats, 52,000. Let the viewers know, obviously, what that stadium's like. And we have experienced ourselves as Arsenal fans moving from Highbury into the Emirates, and interesting experience. I just want to hear your take on it, and if you could explain to everyone how you found the process, how the new stadium is, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, and what people can expect.
Yeah, obviously leaving Goodison, as you will know from leaving Highbury. I went to Highbury quite a few times. Great ground, old school football. And Goodison was similar, that kind of, that feel with the, the obstructive views and all that, wooden seats, very old style stadium. Hill Dickinson is an incredible stadium. It is. It's a football stadium. And I think that is very, very different to some of the stadiums we've seen where it's, a bowl or whatever. This has been built steep and on top of the pitch. So it is, once you're inside, it's been incredible to see the games there. I think it's still a work in progress. There's still a little bit too much concrete for me, which I know the club are addressing, and it's going to be that, bits it's still ongoing as we move forward, and there's other stuff being done next summer to sort of get it to where everybody wants. It looks incredible. It's on the banks of the Royal Blue Mersey. In the summer, it's lovely. It'll be cold. If you're going on Saturday, you're gonna wrap up because it's bloody freezing right next to that river. It really is. It'll be amazing for Arsenal fans. The view's incredible. Where you're at, incredible.
Are we up in the gods?
No. We should be. I can't understand why they haven't shoved you in a corner, but no, you've got an absolutely tremendous view in the corner. It's, to be honest, sort of mirrors the Emirates, really.
Yeah.
When you look at it, where the away fans are, it's very similar to that, where it is. But it's amazing. Listen, it's amazing. It's not big enough, and we certainly on the channel, we've been consistent with that. It's not big enough. It should have been built for 60,000. They've not mid-50s at the very least to start. It can be allegedly upgraded to 62,000, but I think to get that high, it would need a bit of a structural change, and I don't see that happening. I do see it going up through safe standing, which obviously we just, isn't a big hurdle anymore now to get over, and I think we will see that in the next couple of years. Clubs getting back to that. But
we were saying beforehand, just quickly, and I said to you, I did my research on the stadium, and I researched in about 3 or 4 different places. It was the first time I came across it, and I said to you 52,000, and I swear it was a 62,000 792 seater stadium, not a 52,000, which was interesting.
Yeah, it's put it this way. I think if we had the current ownership in when these decisions were made, it would have been 62,000. Yeah. No question about it. We had inadequate people making poor decisions, is the answer to that. So therefore, I've gone with a lower number, which is ridiculous. There's 30,000 on the waiting list for a season ticket. So, and it sells out every week. So make it that what you will. But it is what it is. We've got it. It does look fantastic. It really does. The negative side to it is the transport. It's obviously just out the city centre, but it is a pain getting to and from it. Yeah. The city council haven't done anywhere near enough to help. I think if we'd have played in red, they would have bent over backwards well, just the fact. They would have bent over backwards to make sure there was more stuff going on in it, but they haven't. So yeah, that's the sort of bugbear, I think. And the other thing is things like the pricing of the food and drink is some of it is questionable, shall we say. You probably won't think it's that bad from being down south.
But you know what? Honestly, we have like a sausage and mash and with onions and gravy at the Emirates, and it's absolutely beautiful. But it's like 12 quid, which is just ridiculous. A pint of beer is, I think, about 7 quid.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money. So what are your prices?
Yeah, well, quickly, to be honest, they're similar to that.
Yeah,
similar to that. It's like you can get things like salt and pepper chicken and things like that, but they're like 12 quid and the pints. I don't drink personally, but people drink, and it's like between 6 and 7 quid. But you might go, well, that's not that bad, really. But I just think they've missed the sort of menu that is a bit cheaper. Do you know what I mean? But listen, you don't have to buy stuff in there, do you? There's places around that you can get cheaper pints and cheaper food if so be it, if you want it. But they've sort of been the little downsides to it. But hopefully there'll be an improvement in both. Hopefully the transport's got to be, because Everton have got 4, possibly 5 European Championship games there at 28 euros. So that transport will have to be sorted to perfection by the time that turns up, ready to go. But other than that, it hasn't been too bad an experience being inside the stadium, if you like. It's incredible with the way they've sort of done it.
Fantastic. So whilst we're on the pricing of things, how much is a season ticket at the Hill Dickinson Stadium? And also, how much is a Category A game?
Right. I've no clue on a Category A game, I'll be honest with you, because I'm a season ticket holder. So I've no clue. My season ticket was 950 quid. And my lad's, he's 14, his was about 400, I think, something like that.
Where'd you sit?
I sit in the lower east stand, so we've got a huge stand called the South Stand at one end, and I'm very, very close to that. I'm sort of like the edge of the penalty area down that end. So when you're looking at it on the TV, from a TV perspective, I'm over towards the far corner flag on the right hand, sort of over that way.
Nice.
But yeah, brilliant. I mean, there's different prices for tickets. I'm not actually. I think they probably range from mid 50s up to say 80, something like that, 70, 80 maybe. But I couldn't tell you if I couldn't tell you what they are match by match, because it's that thing, ignorance. You get your own ticket and then you never give it a second thought. But cup tickets, obviously, I'll find out as we go. But sort of our first FA Cup tickets just come out, and it was only Everton have done an offer. It was 20 quid playing Sunderland, so that's not bad for the FA Cup third round. So I guess if we get to the quarters, I'll find out how much it is. Something like that.
That's it. So, right, we are near the end of the show. I want to get a prediction from you, Baz.
Right, I'm never, ever going to go against Everton.
Okay.
Right?
But you're going to tonight.
But I can't see us winning. So I'm going to sit massively on the fence with a ton of splinters and say we grab a spawny 1-1. But I won't be surprised if Arsenal win. That's my nicest way of trying not to go against my club, because I think Arsenal have got a great chance this year, and they need to grab it with both hands. And Everton, I think if Everton would have their best 11, I think they'd give Arsenal a good game under the lights there. And Everton's record at home to Arsenal isn't bad. Isn't bad at all. But who knows on the night? Who knows?
You've got a good record. We drew, I think, 1-1 last time, and then we beat you 1-0. So obviously at Goodison, and then before that, we really struggled.
You've only won one of the last 7.
Yeah, we really struggled there. Struggled for years. And I remember, no disrespect, but for years before that, it was quite a happy hunting ground. But then we just went through a period where we really struggled there.
Yeah.
But look, Baz, you've been an absolute superstar. Thank you very much for coming on Box to Box. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. I hope it's been really informative, fun, educational. Please check out all of AFTV's other content. Please check out the AFTV app. Also, we've got a watch along for the Everton versus Arsenal game, 8 o'clock. That will be starting at 7:30 on Saturday night. There will be a starting 11 show as well, which will be starting at 6:30. We'll be running through the starting 11. And obviously after the game, all the fan cams as per usual. We've got you covered, and the Invincibles is coming out as well. So guys, please check all of that out. Baz, you've been a superstar. He's been Baz. This has been AFTV. I've been Marty. Box to Box signing out. See you later.